Hello everyone, welcome to test number 2 that we GS paper test 2 which we have conducted, and in GS paper 2 we have conducted the first test and I'm going to discuss about that one, right? Now, pertaining to this test, basically the question that were asked was the first question: why the preamble is called the philosophy of Indian Constitution, right? So now the question is why it has been called the philosophy of Constitution. Obviously, as we know, preamble, which was obviously put forwarded by as objective resolution by Jawaharlal Nehru, right? And it was put forth on 13th of December, and then on 22nd January 1947 it was passed, and that further became the preamble, right? So this is the history, brief history about the preamble. Now, why it is called philosophy? Because all the elements on which our constitution is based have been enshrined in the preamble. Now, preamble is basically also called by KM Munshi as the key of the constitution, right? Now, how come we will relate it in the question? We will obviously write that first of all, if we go by the preamble, it talks about what sort of country our will be, right? So, in the very first line, it says that India would be a democ- democratic, sovereign, socialist, democratic republic. Now, first word is sovereign. That means we will be completely independent to take our decision. Then after sovereign, we have the socialist word, which means we are here for inclusive growth. Even the poor segment or the downtrodden segment of the society does matter for us, and we have several provisions for them, especially the directive principle of state policies have been enshrined in the constitution pertaining to that, right? Then we have, after sovereign socialist, then we have, obviously, we have the secular word, which was, added by 42nd amendment. Even the socialist word was added by 42nd amendment, right? The secular means obviously in the Indian sense, we could say that equal respect will be given to all the people out here, and obviously they will have the freedom to practice any religion. And regarding this, we have fundamental right, Article 25 to 28 pertaining to that. Then it says a democratic republic, and obviously when we say democracy means obviously our country has indirect democracy with us, and the provision 326 universal adult franchise, right? Article 326 universal adult franchise for the age of 18, right? That describes about it. Then we have the republic form because our head of the state is the president, and he is indirectly elected by the people, indirectly elected by the people, because people elect a representative and the representative elect the president. Now this is what tells us about the nature, and after nature we will also talk about it also gives about the source of the constitution, the power, the source of power for the constitution, where it writes, okay, we the people of India. So obviously, if it is this philosophy, it is a philosophy because even from where we are getting the power has been clearly mentioned in the preamble. Apart from this, it talks about the aims and objectives that has been set forth by our constitution makers, right? And this has come. How that has come? It has come in the form that we are going to provide justice, right? So justice will be there. So it is not only talking about the social justice, the political justice and economic justice. All three types of justice are there. Now, obviously, for social and economic justice, we have DPSP, and for the political justice, we have the fundamental right with us. Apart from it, it says about the equality in the society, right? That is, equality should be there. It talks about fraternity. That means we should have a brotherhood among ourselves. That is integrity with the nation and integrity between the people, right? It also means that the human dignity should always be maintained, right? So these are the things that have been mentioned, right, there in our preamble, which makes it the philosophy of our constitution. It was just 150 words that you need to write, and these all things are sufficient for that. Now, we will talk about the next question, why the 42nd Amendment is called revision of the Indian Constitution or the mini Constitution. Obviously, when we talk about 42nd Amendment, it was during the emergency period, and it was a master stroke by Madam Indira Gandhi. Now it is called a mini constitution, or obviously the revision of the Indian constitution, because in a way constitution was rewritten in this one. Not a single aspect was left, whether it was about the amendment of fundamental right that it has mentioned, right? The parliament can amend the parliament has the power to even go through or breach the fundamental right if it has to implement, directive principle of state policy that is mentioned in Article 39B and Article 39C. Obviously, these two are basically, there should not be concentration of wealth in a single hand and equitable distribution of wealth. Now, for these two things, obviously, it said that the parliament can, you know, breach the fundamental right, Article 14 and 19. Now, this was a significant one because by this another provision was added, right? And in this provision, it said that obviously it won't be under the judicial review. Now, this is why this becomes significant, because is this point of time, now it was the legislative asserted that it has the sole authority of making law, and that can't be questioned, right? It was for the first time that has occurred, that came in 42nd Amendment. Now, the second thing is obviously we incorporated a lot many things. Most important in them was the fundamental duties was included in it. Now, Article 51A was added. Apart from that, Part 4A of the Constitution was added, in which 10 fundamental duties on the recommendation of Swan Singh Committee was, incorporated. It also changed Article 368, which is about amendment. So amendment was made in the provision of amendment as well, right? So even that was changed. Apart from it, now this was the amendment which made, right? It made the provision that the advice rendered by the Council of Ministers will be binding on the president, right? So this also put forth this one. Apart from this, several other provisions like whatever the minister says, right, that will be very important. The legislature became very important, right? And all other things were added in this one. It's only 150 word. You can write at least 250 words on this question. That is, the 42nd Amendment we are talking about. Now, next is question is, what do you mean by judicial activism? Explain with some example. Now this was one question where many of you guys have faltered. And why you have faltered? Because you took the concept a bit too far. And that's why you have faltered in your answer while writing it. Now, first of all, when I will talk about judicial activism, it is judicial activism is nothing but a proactive approach for making reach judicial to the doorstep of the people, right? You can also say when the other one are not giving justice to the people. Now, obviously, the judiciary will intervene and it will make sure the justice is imparted to the people, right, by the executive as well as the judiciary, legislature, right? So obviously there is a one more concept to it, and this is basically when it tries to overreach itself, it becomes judicial overreach. And many of you students have confused between judicial activism and judicial overreach. Now, judicial activism has been taken from the US, right? So we have taken this concept from US, right? Where Schlesinger was the first one who has introduced this concept, right? And in India, if we say judicial activism, obviously it started from Keshwanand Bharati itself, but especially in the Menka Gandhi case, when the Supreme Court said that right to life is not merely confined to a living entity, but obviously it also means that the humans have the right for to lead a dignified life. Now, dignified life, then obviously the person who could be said to be right, Justice Krishna Swami was there, and one more, and the most important, Justice P.N. Bhagwati. Now, Justice P.N. Bhagwati, what he did was he introduced public interest litigation, right? Public interest litigation is filed not for the personal cause, but anything for the public. And anyone can, file the PIL in the court. Even the court has the right to take it suo moto. A lot many cases have been there, right? That has come to the fore, right? First of all, I told you about the Keshwananda Bharati, then Menka Gandhi, then we had, right, the justice given in Article 21 and all these things like right to privacy, right to, have a clean environment, right? And all these are basically due to this only, right? So, there are a lot many another one. I will just give you another example, like Delhi High Court. It took a suo moto verdict, and it directed the MCD to end their strike because they have scattered garbage on the road to get their demands fulfilled. So there is a lot many places where judicial activism becomes very active, and it is today we can say that judicial activism is playing a significant role. A lot many places where the shades for the poor, right, drinking facilities, public utilities, right, and other things had occurred due to the act of judicial activism out there, right? So there are a lot many things to write in this. Now you were supposed to write this. Now we will come to question number 4. How the power of governor to pardon is different from the power of president, right, under Article 72 of the Constitution, right? Right, when we talk about the pardoning power, both governor and president have 5 pardoning power, right? And it's for 5 pardoning power. If we say the first one is obviously pardon, that is completely living it. Now, second is obviously commute karna, that is change the nature of the right. Change the nature of the punishment that has been given. There is remission, where the without changing the nature of punishment, obviously you can the whatever punishment has been given, whatever sentence that has been given, right, the period can be reduced in that one. So this is the remission. Then we have a respite. Respite is for a temporary cause, right? Okay, fine, what I'm going to give you is, okay, fine, you can't I am going to give you certain time, so that if your death sentence is today, it will be 3 months later. And then is obviously what you say, it is a reprieve, in which in certain emergency condition, like a woman gets pregnant or a person become completely disabled, right? In such circumstances, the nature is changed. Now, these are the pardoning power. Now, the first difference between the two is obviously eh, the judicial pardoning power of the president, it applies everywhere in India, whereas the governor is only confined to the state. Second one, the judicial power of the governor doesn't apply in the case of court martial, right? Now, as well as the central administrative tribunals and all, it is not applicable. Whereas when we talk about the president, his decision is applicable to everywhere. Now, apart from that, we will talk about some other things as well. Now, first of all, the death sentence can't be pardoned by the governor, but obviously the pardoning power of a president also has this, to revoke a death sentence, right? So these are the basic pardoning power, and these pardoning power are considered to be a last step, right? The pardoning power is the last step in which it is in our judicial system, it is said that even we have to leave 10 culprit, we should not be, frame someone or punish someone who hasn't done the crime, right? So this is the basically the thing, right? So on this basis, this was the difference that you need to write. Now, question number 5 says transparency and accountability are complementary to each other, right? Now, when we talk about transparency, that means completely opening up the system, that every person has the complete reach to the system, where whatever the things are completely everyone could get to know, right? And for maintaining transparency, one of the thing is right to information, that is the information should be conveyed to the people, and that too it should be one more thing that is enclosed in this, that to be correct and within the time frame, right? So right to information is about one step that is going towards transparency. Now when we talk about accountability, now accountability is being responsible, and how this responsible would be there, right? Where the duties have been clearly prescribed, right? And now clearly prescribing the duties means you enter the transparency into it, right? Now the duties are obviously prescribed, plus if you fault in that duty, right, you will be punished. That should be completely prescribed, right? Even the if in case of failure, there should be a mechanism of grievance redressal into it, right? So all these things are the basic constituent of accountability. Now, as we can see, right, if the all three factors here and three factors over, that makes our answer. Now, obviously, we can see transparency and accountability are completely, they are complementary to each other. We can't imagine one without the other, right? And these both are important for good governance, right? And for good governance, obviously these things are needed, and all the services that has been, by the uh, provided by the government, it should have both these things in them, right? This was the answer you need to write. Now, next is we have, so this was the first part is over. Now we will be talking about the second part of question number 11. How does the federal structure in India accommodate the diverse needs and aspirations of different states? Now, we will talk about first part of the question, then I will move on to the second one. Now, this was a very interesting question because most of you have tried to write the feature of federalism, right, and the problem with federalism in this. Now, this was not supposed to be written because just read the question properly. How does the federal structure in India accommodate the diverse needs and aspirations of different states? Right? So, this was completely a different answer that was demanded in this one. Now, as we know, federal structure, when we say it is the division of power between center and state, and both should have a reasonable autonomy with them, right? Now, obviously, when we talk about now how this federal system in India have accommodated the diverse need, first of all, we have several constitutional provisions, like first of all, we will mention about Article 371. Now, in Article 371 from A to G, basically all different states like Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur have been given, several provisions, special provisions regarding to that. So to accommodate the tribal diversity and the different need from the other states, right? Now this is being done, right? So first we will mention about Article 371. Then you will obviously talk about the fifth and sixth schedule in the constitution, right? Where the fifth and sixth schedule has been incorporated, where the diverse need has been kept into account. Then obviously we have the constitution of finance commission out there, right? Where finance commission, although it is appointed by the center and it is considered to be a problem for the federal structure, but there is one difference into them. It also accommodates the needs, and this is the reason why it has made the criteria, right? So the most poor one or the most illiterate state, right? The state doesn't have resources, and on the basis of that only, the grants and aids are given to the state. Like Arunachal is getting funds now, Bihar is getting funds, right? Now Jammu and Kashmir are getting fund, and all the reasons are completely different, and this is accommodated within the federalism, right? And it has been tried. Apart from that, even in the incorporation of the central scheme, several states have been, they have been kept aside, right? They don't need to pay for a single penny for different schemes out here, right? It is fully funded by the center. So this is also a mode of accommodation. Apart from it, now in the federal structure, there are other challenges as well, right? Like the diverse needs of other states like your UP and others have been kept into account, and this is the reason when the whole political system that has been framed in our federal structure, right? And it is in the case of the number of membership in the state council, right? State council is basically our Rajya Sabha, right? So it is not the state council, it's council of states basically. Rajya Sabha. Now different places have a different representation, right? And we have kept the population into mind and have allocated different number of seats in them. So this was all to have been covered, right? By whom? Obviously you have to be covered under the first one. Apart from it, in the name of a governor, you can write that in the consultation with the CM is done by the center, right, to appoint a governor now. Now, this is obviously one more thing which is there for accommodating different needs and requirement, right? So these are the things which were required to be filled there. Now, are are there any challenges? If yes, then how can they be addressed? Now, obviously, if we talk about not only now moving to aspirations, right? We have failed drastically at meeting the aspirations of a lot many reasons, right? And that reasons are apart from, right, not only the traditional thing, but a new thing is also there. Now, first of all, the post of governor, it is obviously he acts as the center agent in a state, and that has been a problem in case like you have Delhi, where he was not letting Kejriwal to do anything, right? And in other places like West Bengal or other, whether when the central party is different from the state party. Obviously, governor, is a person who is a controversial figure out there. Apart from it, we have emergency provisions, and in emergency provision, we have the precedent rule prescribed in Article 356 and Article 365 becomes the base of it in many cases. Now, this is also misused by, right? This is also misused by the government many a time. So this is also a challenge out there. Third one is the financial dependency on the center is a maximum, because even in finance commission we need certain representation of the states, right, which is completely missing. Now, this is also the reason why if the ally party is there in Bihar, Bihar is getting maximum fund, whereas in West Bengal, where the other party's government is there, it is getting the minimum uh, finance, right? So in this way, it's not accommodating. The federal structure is not accommodating as such, right? So this is also a reason. Right, the other challenges, if we talk about, obviously we have the concurrent list, and obviously where the supremacy of the center is there. So all these are normal challenges. Apart from this, different regional aspirations are not being met, right? And we are seeing in the case of Manipur and others, right? This is also a challenge to the, right, our cooperative federalism that should be there, right? So you need to write all these in this one. Now, how to address them? Obviously, we should give more and more financial autonomy. We should increase, right, the all India services, so that a better bounding between the two should be there. We should also make sure that not only on the consultation of the chief minister, the consultation and the whatever the things that has been given by the chief minister, right? Whatever suggestion has been given by the chief minister, that needs to be binding on the basically appointment of governor. Governor should be given security of term, because due to lack of this, he has been doing. Regional aspirations should be taken into account. The states in northeastern, right? They are many a time, they are just not given much importance, because they have very few number of seats in terms of Lok Sabha. Now we have to move from that. Then only our federalism will be a cooperative federalism, and then our regional aspiration could be truly met. Right? This was what you need to write. Now, what question number 12 is, what alternative mechanism of dispute resolution have emerged in recent years? How far have they been effective? Now, when we talk about alternate dispute resolution, right, it means not the normal and traditional court like High Court, Supreme Court, or whatever other subordinate courts that we have. It means outside the court, and when it says outside the court, obviously the justice system completely changes, where the justice is more friendly, where the justice is more inclusive in nature, where anything is not forced upon, but it is due with mutual consultation, rather than punishment or by a judicial authority punishing you for that. Now, this is the basic difference with the normal judicial system and alternative dispute resolution. Now, in alternative dispute resolution, there are basically four mechanisms that is adopted. The first one is called the arbitration, in which an arbitrator is kept, and it is the choice of both the parties, and his decision becomes final. Now, with arbitration, there is one thing very important, that in any such dispute between the two companies or something, right, there must be one thing, there should be a clause for arbitration written in their thing. Now, apart from that, we have the conciliator who tries to concile the thing. He just enables the people to come and, have with mutual consent, right? Basically, he gives the justice, and this is conciliator. Now, other is a mediation. Mediation is a person basically who will just, provide a ground, right? Okay, both parties who are having the dispute, come here and you settle yourself. I'm just, will be moderator in it. Now, this is called a mediation. And fourth is the negotiation. This is, we all know what a negotiation. In this, the third party is not at all involved. Two parties come and do that. Now, in terms of alternative dispute resolution, we have several, bodies framed for it. Our tribunal system, right, is also a part of alternative dispute resolution mechanism. And Article 323A, which describes about the Central and State Administrative Tribunal, and Article 323B, which prescribes about the all other types of tribunal like National Green Tribunal, NGT, right? We have a National Company Law Tribunal, NCLT. Now, Foreign Tribunal, which is looking after the case of in Assam citizenship, right? So all sort of tribunals are there. Apart from that, we have the very famous Lok Adalat, right? Now, Lok Adalat it was again a masterpiece of P.N. Bhagwati, who has promoted this Lok Adalat. Now, there also all the things are there where you can go. Now, Lok Adalat is basically, where you can go to redress your grievances. It's about, settling of your challan, driving license challan, or electricity bill dispute, or any sort of this. So obviously this is a very, very helpful as such. Now, they are acting great because our normal judicial system is overburdened with the case. Now, this system has resolved a lot of dispute. An alternative dispute resolution mechanism ensures one thing, that is timely, giving timely justice to everyone, right? So in short time, plus we have a specialized person for everything out there, so which many a time is not there in case of normal judicial system. So these are even the advantages that we get in this one. This was all what you need to write. Now, next question number 13. Discuss the evolution of Panchayati Raj system in Arunachal Pradesh. Now, when we talk about Arunachal Pradesh Panchayati Raj evolution, it started from 1964, when obviously Deng Hearing Commission was set up. It gave its recommendation in 1965, and on the basis of these recommendation in 1968, for NEFA, the Panchayati Raj was initiated. Right now, it has prescribed that the traditional tribal council will be acting as the village panchayat, right? And obviously, it will be having the uh, frontier council, right? So it has the frontier council at the center, or being the apex body to regulate this, right? This was, from in 1968 we had the first election, and from 1969 the Panchayati Raj system started in Arunachal Pradesh. Now, after Arunachal becoming a state in 1997, right, the Panchayati Raj Act of Arunachal Pradesh was passed, in which it prescribed for three-tier of Panchayati Raj system. The Gram Panchayat as the base, now the Anchal Panchayat as, right, the Anchal Panchayat at the block level, and then obviously the district Panchayat, Zilla Panchayat at the top as such. Right, in this one again an amendment came in 2018, and obviously it is as per Article 243B of our Constitution, which says that any places having less than 20 lakh of population do not need to have an intermediate level of panchayat. That's why Anchal Samiti was, removed from here, and now we have, right, two tier of Panchayati Raj system in Arunachal Pradesh as such, right? So these were the development that you need to write. Now, apart from this, we have to mention the problems. There are lot many problems in Panchayat. First one is great illiteracy out here, right? Because as we know, after Bihar, the Arunachal Pradesh is the most illiterate state, right? And here the literacy is very low. So people are not much aware about their rights, what the functions are, right? Again, the second thing, a rampant corruption is out there, right? Every vote for panchayat goes for money, money culture, money voting culture is out here, right? So this is one thing. Next one, the reservation that is given to the women, 1/3 of reservation, right? Basically, it is they just act as a puppet. The women who are elected just act as a puppet in the hand of their husbands. Now the husband are become the true rulers. right? So these are a lot many problems that is there. Lack of infrastructure development, even the voters need to be educated. Lack of political knowledge is also there, right? So this is what the problems are. Now, if we want to change it, obviously there should be a political literacy campaign. The people should be made aware what is the rights of a panchayat are, what their duties are. Even the voter need to be made aware that it is your choice rather than taking money at one point of time. It's better, right, to have a government that will give you in place of 50,000, it will give you 5 lakh rupees in terms of a lot many things, right? So that is required, plus strict action should be taken. Now in panchayat we see a lot many fights and all goes on. Now that should be kept into mind. Security forces should be appointed here, right? Anti-corruption or other things should be here, and all these things are required for the panchayat. So this is there. Now question number 14. Indian diaspora is not, that is that now. Yes. Now question number 16. Question number 16 says, discuss the election process of Indian president. Do you think it's appropriate? Right? Do you think it is appropriate? And first suggest the way. Now, if we talk about the election, for president election, any person should be Indian citizen, age of 35, right? And after attaining age of 35, he should not hold any office of profit, right? Apart from office of profit, he should be eligible to be elected as a Lok Sabha member. So these are the four major requirements which is there. Now, if a person, right? So first of all, let's clear who elects it. Obviously, president is elected by, right, electoral college, and this electoral college is comprises of elected member of Lok Sabha, elected member of Rajya Sabha, not the nominated one, and elected member of Legislative Assembly, and Legislative Council in states are not the part of it. So this is the electoral college that we have. Apart from this, now as we have this electoral college, if a person like me who wants to contest the president election, right, now what I need to do when I will go to file the nomination, in the nomination paper, I need 50 proposers and 50 seconders from the electors, right? So it means 100 people's signature should be there with giving consent to my name. Apart from this, I will be depositing 15,000 rupees, right, as the security with RBI. And if am not getting, if I am getting less than 1/6 of the total vote casted, that security would be confiscated. जिसको बोलते हैं जमानत जब्त हो गया, right? Now, apart from that, what I need to do this is, now when my nomination, I'm filing a nomination, right? Now, when I'm filing my nomination, a person has the right to, he can file 4 maximum nominations as such. Now, when the starts, obviously when the election starts, now all the electors are given, a ballot paper where they have to mark the preference of their vote. It is not choosing a single person, right? They have to mark against the name of the candidate is their first preference, second preference, third preference, fourth preference, like this. Now, the MPs are given basically green color of ballot paper, and pink color of ballot paper is given to whom? Obviously, pink color of ballot paper is given to the elected MLAs, right? Now, when the voting starts, right, obviously the system is through single transferable vote, and the system of proportional representation is maintained in this one. Now, this is why, as it maintains the proportional representation system, there is different values of vote attached to it, right? Now, different values of vote means, for the vote of one MLA, it will be one MLA vote will equal to the total population of the state by the number of seat of the legislative assembly in that state, right? Yeah, or the number of MLAs, and into 1 by 1,000. So this is how we get the vote value of one MLA. For one MP, it is the total number of votes of the MLAs by the total number of elected members of Lok Sabha plus elected member of Rajya Sabha, which comes to around 776 or something, right? So this will give you one vote of MP. Now the candidate to become victorious, he should get basically a minimum quota of vote. Now minimum quota of vote has got a formula, that is total valid votes by number of seat plus 1 and to the whole of it plus 1. This which means number of seat will be 1. That means 1 and 1 equal to 2. So that means 50% plus 1 vote is required, right? Now when the counting starts, when the counting starts, obviously if the person, none of the person is getting the minimum quota of vote, then the person who gets the first preference, right, the minimum first preference vote, his name will be striked off, and in his ballot paper the second preference vote will be distributed to the remaining candidate, and this will go on till the we get finally the final vote, final minimum quota, and the president is elected in this way. Now obviously this thing about the election, right, the second stage has gone on only in the case of VV Giri case. When he became the president, the counting had gone to the second stage. Now this is an apt system as for me, because obviously first of all, obviously president is de jure head of the state, right? For this we don't need to involve all public directly in electing him. So that's why, because we have parliamentary, not presidential form of government out here. Second thing is, obviously it saves a lot of money which would have been wasted. Third thing is, obviously even the people wish get indirectly fulfilled, because it is basically the elected members who are basically responsible, who are choosing the president. So this is what you are required to write. Now next question is, discuss the merits and demerits of one nation, one election, right? So obviously in this year, last year, 2024, right, in May, June around time, obviously Ramnath Kovind committee has given its, it has given its recommendation pertaining to one nation, one election. Now, in this, it says that obviously all the elections, whether it is the central election, right, that is the Lok Sabha election, or the Legislative Assembly election, or the local panchayat election, they should be held simultaneously, right? Now, this requires, right, for this, it says there are certain practical problems in this which we can get away for this, like this is 2024 and the next election should be 2029, right? Now when for the election 2029, there are many state government who has been formed, right? Like now in Delhi, BJP has come to the power, right? As per the committee, now they will serve just the remaining period, like it is 2025. Delhi government has to resign by 2029 so that we can streamline the whole system out there, right? Now this is one thing. Apart from this, even this amendment has to be made, right, in the panchayats as well, right? In panchayat election also, it should be incorporated with the central one, right? And it should be on the same time, right? Not different times as such, right? So this was the recommendation. It obviously gave the recommendation that we have to amend article 82A of the constitution for ensuring that obviously for ensuring that we have all the election at one point of time. So these were the basic recommendations by this, this committee. Now, apart from this, the how it is, what is the merit in it? The merit is obviously it will be cost effective, first of all, right? So having election. Now, second one is a lot many officers are non electoral members also are involved in it, whether it's teacher, whether it's other officer, whether it's district magistrate, right? So everyone is involved in elections, so obviously that will be only for the one time. We want to be needing them all the time, because it is a very cumbersome to carry on the normal duties which they are prescribed to. Even the teachers who are involved in this leads to regular class being off for the student, which is not good for literacy as well as education system in India. Apart from it, obviously the military personals, right, they are engaged in election all the times, right, from here, sometime there, right. Obviously, we need the security personnel to be, at the border and other places, not all the time, ensuring free and fair election out there. Apart from this, one more which is good, there will be a consistency in policy, because frequent change in the policy will, it will lead to policy instability, and which won't garner us good results. So all these are the benefits of having, one election at the same time. Now, the second one, the demerits, right? Demerit is obviously, even if we take all the election, then also we will be having Rajya Sabha election at a different time, right? The state legislative council election at a different time. So this is the first demerit. The second one is it will require huge, right? Now, huge population, huge people, workforce, right? Now, this is not even, this is going to jeopardize the proper functioning at one point of time. Now, this is also not very good. Third one is the military forces will be used in a huge amount, and they have to leave the border and come here. Now, this will create a security threat for India. Fourth one is obviously, we have to make a lot many amendment in the constitution, because now we are ending the term in the mid only. Now, one government maybe, if the election is going to happen in 2028, so only for 1 year that government will be there, which is not justified with the true sense of democracy. Another problem is this will be completely have great repercussion on the regional parties, right? The regional party will lose their sign, the regional aspiration will go to the dust, right? So these things are not good for democracy, because it will be the national politics, national political party who will start dominating the scenario right from the Lok Sabha to the state assembly, even to the ground root level and all. Right? So these are a lot many problems and demerits in the system as well. On the whole, when we conclude, it will say that obviously we have to take the things into regard, and we should evolve a midway thing which can serve us better. One plan could be nearly 50% of the states should go with the Lok Sabha election, and another 50 in the second go, right? So this could be a better idea rather than completely incorporating the recommendation as it has been given, because it will lead to a lot many constitutional changes which is there, right? So that you need to write. Now, next is the last question. Discuss the role of civil services in a democratic setup with a special reference to India. Obviously, civil services are born of the backbone of the Indian society. Now, they are the person who maintain the true democracy in India, and how they maintain it. It is through their accountability, transparency, right? Providing fair services, right? Apart from that, they are the people who are the policy maker, real policy maker, and these are the people who are the real executor of the policy as such. Apart from this, these people also work as a channel between the government and the people, and they they are the person who take into account the different grievances of the people, and for grievance redressal mechanism, they are the person who go to the people and make the things understand. Now, this is the reason why for the efficacy of the legislature and the proper functioning of executive, the civil services becomes the backbone, whether it's foreign affairs, whether it's the financial affairs. So there is no aspects in India pertaining to administration left which is not dominated by the civil servant. And for any good governance, what is required is a good civil service servants in India, right? So this was what you were supposed to, right? Now, this all for this test discussion, right? So I hope you will be finding it helpful in your preparation, and you must be knowing what you wrote in the paper, right? So all the best for the next paper. We will be discussing soon the next test that was given. This was basically GS paper 2 first test that I have discussed today. Thank you.